Very good evening to all of you. And we are here at our first webinar session today. This is Anjum, your host for the evening, and I welcome you all. It's a great pleasure to have with us Mr. Srinath Gupta. Uh,
Hi,
he is, Hi, Mr. Srinath Gupta. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Yes,
Thank you, Andy.
yes. Mr. Srinath Gupta is our resource person for today, who will give us an insight into the real estate industry and giving a small introduction about Mr. Srinath Gupta, he has had a vast experience of 16 years in his career with the banking and financial services as well as the real estate industry. And it's a pleasure to have him with us as he's an avid speaker and holds a lot of information regarding our real estate industry as well. And we would love to share all this knowledge with us today. He's been with the channel partner group, that is, he's worked with Prop Tigers and Full Basket Property, and now is currently working as the vice president of Merushu Developers, and which deals with he's also the vice president of sales and CRM and marketing at Merushu Developers. So I welcome you, Mr. Srinath Gupta, and it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Anjum. The pleasure is mine. Thank you.
Yes. So, talking about the real estate industry, we are all here present today to talk about what are the latest trends in the real estate market. So, starting it off, you have been in the real estate industry for the last 10 years.
Yes.
I believe that. So, with this, you have been with the residential apartment sector, and now you're dealing with the plotted development sector. So, what do you think is the advantage of buying a plotted development over a residential apartment, or vis-a-vis? What are the advantages of both of them?
Yes, Anjum. Before getting on to the plot and apartment thing, I'll just like to give you a scenario on the evolution of real estate. See, real estate basically means land. The basis of real estate is land. Anything built over land is a commodity, that is a real estate output commodity of real estate. So land is a primary commodity or a primary raw material for real estate. So real estate started to sell as lands, then it went on to villas, then it went on to apartments due to scarcity of land. Real estate went vertical. It was always horizontal, but it went vertical because scarcity of land. So again, we are coming back to a scenario where we are investing in land. So as I said, land is the most primary commodity of real estate. It holds great importance, and holding land in any format is considered a prized position in real estate. So an apartment, what happens is basically you have shared your ownership in the land with multiple people. Where in land, what happens, you completely have the ownership of the land. The reason why people don't prefer land or don't want to invest in land is two major reasons. Unavailability of land, even it's available, because of the prices. So these are the two major reasons where people, although they want to invest in land and construct their own house on a piece of their own land, the reason why they might be skeptical is because if a land is available at a good rate, the location might not be preferable one. If a land is available at a good location, the price might not be attractive, or affordability might not be there. But to conclude what you've asked for, the answer is land is always a price position for anyone. It is only because of these mentioned reasons people don't go for land. But now, having said that, people are starting to invest in land, and they're not giving location as a preference. They're investing in futuristic locations which are about to grow in future. That has become a trend now. And when I speak of land, the multiple types of investment are going into land. One is a basic plain land within a community, and one more is basically a farmland, and one more is basically fragmented ownership. So during the due course of the seminar, we can discuss various options which are available in land also.
Sure. So you've explained to me about what is the difference of buying the plot and buying an apartment. So I would also want to know, when you talk about plotted developments, we have seen a huge surge in the customer behavior, buying behavior, where are obviously during the pandemic going on, people are all looking for ready to move in apartments and looking for something what is ready. But we have seen like a huge trend in the plotted development sector where everybody is jumping into buying the plotted development. What do you think what about this surge in the plotted development sector where everyone wants to own a piece of land rather than going in for the ready to move in apartment?
So it's basically going back to roots. What I would say. I mean, there's when you speak of trend and fashion, it's always a circle which comes. So you start with one thing, and again you go back to the other thing, same thing again. So that as the trend keeps on repeating, the history keeps repeating itself. So people are more keen on investing in land because one thing is they understand the importance of land in real estate because you own your own piece of land. So that can be multiple ways. People invest in land which is far off from the cities. People invest in land which is close to the cities. People invest in holiday destination. People invest in futuristic locations. But it can be for any purpose. Land, people are getting back to land as an investment tool. People are getting back to land as a retirement place. People are getting back to land as a leisure, like your farmlands I told you, like your holiday homes I told you, like having a house in Delhi and owning a land in
Yes.
Shimla, like having a house in what you call Bangalore, a Bangalorean owning a land in Madikeri or Kurk, or a Mangalorean holding a land somewhere close by. So these are
Yes.
examples where people, depending upon their investment capability and capacity, they're trying to find, they're getting back to the roots, that is getting back to the basic investment of real estate, that is plots in various locations. So, and pandemic has also added to it. People understand the importance of staying aloof and away and not
Right.
staying in a closed and cluttered community.
Right.
So COVID also has
So
helped in a better way, I would say.
yes, so that's why we see that surge in buying of plotted developments.
True, very true.
Okay, so now since we see that the customer buying pattern is now more concentrated towards plots. Of course, there is the trend of buying apartments as well. There is a surge in both the markets. So, what do you think a customer should look at the points which are very important to look at when he's uh, thinking of buying a plotted development? Because we know we have the RERA when it comes to an apartment. There are other documents and other factors. What are those factors which a person needs to know before buying a plot?
Definitely. I'll definitely answer it, Anju. But before going on to that for your viewers and customers, I'll just basically differentiate the between apartment and plotted development. See, apartment and plotted development are two different independent decisions. I mean, they're not interdependent. It's not either or. It's not essential. The person who's looking for apartment will not look for a plotted development. Plotted development generally, in person investing in plot is generally a futuristic investment or a generic investment or retirement planning or estate planning. The apartment is an immediate requirement where he might need to stay now. Yes, there's a second category of people who are earlier investing into apartments, a second home as an apartment. They are now moving towards plotted developments, basically. The reasoning is appreciation in value, and estate planning is also one of the reasons. And as I told you, COVID has also been one of the reasons where people prefer more of aloof and loose kind of a living where they don't prefer cluttered living. So there are two different kinds of investment. And coming back to the question of what are the things which is required to look into before investing in plotted
Yes.
development? See, plotted developments also, there are two kinds of plotted. One is an organized and one is unorganized. Organized is something which are promoted by builders and developers like us, which are
Exactly.
reputed builders
Yes.
and ACAT and BCAT developers who promote,
True.
who take a layout and take a land, cut it into pieces and sell it with all required approvals. So that is called organized. Unorganized is the small-time developers and small-time uh, players who just take a land and without proper approvals, they launch it and they sell it without following the government norms. See, any approved plotted development should have at least, so for example, you're taking a 100 acres of land, at least 50% or 55% should be left apart for roads and civic amenities and your parks, recreational recreational things. So that is a basic requirement. You should see that government will only approve, the concerned development authority will only approve if these norms are followed.
Okay.
Apart from that, RERA is also very much important for underdeveloped and plotted developments. Plotted developments which are just launched and underdeveloped. Having said that, RERA is not important or RERA is not required for a plotted development is completed its development completely. Okay. So the concerned authority has, the first authority is the concerned authority of that area. It can be anything. It can be a BDA, it can be a BIPA, it can be BBMP, whichever locality, whichever area that locality, under whichever concern the locality falls in, the concerned authority should approve it. The next approval is from the RERA, that is Real Estate Regulatory Authority of that particular state, has to approve it. These are the two main important approvals you have to look into. Apart from other approvals from the concerned bodies like your basically other bodies whichever are there.
The municipality and everything.
Yes, Palik and everything. So plotted development approvals are limited, not like unlike apartments, you don't need multiple clearances. The clearance is very simple.
Very simple. So yes,
Yes.
so as per like you have the RERA, which is a regulatory authority for apartments. We do have it in plotted developments as well, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
As long it is not completed. If it's a
not
complete,
completed.
sometimes people complete they entirely develop the community and then sell it. For that, RERA
Okay,
is not required. But if at all you have not got a release order from your concerned approving authority, or the plotted development is under development, then
right.
you require a RERA for it. Ideally speaking, RERA is required for every kind of plotted development, which is anything more than 10,000 SFT in land area. RERA is required.
Okay, okay. So talking about the present real estate market in Bangalore, which segment do you think is presently trending? Is it the in terms of segment and in terms of the budget, what is trending right now in Bangalore?
See, that's a difficult question to answer because thanks to COVID, there are multiple things which are trending.
Yes.
So people who have budgets, they basically are the high-end investment has increased in Bangalore of late. And
Okay.
people, the luxury segment has seen a what you call upside demand in the upside, which was not there all this while. Apart from
Okay.
that, the plotted developments are also seen the investments, futuristic investments have seen a great demand, are having great demand with a lot of launches happening, especially in northern side of Bangalore and the eastern side of Bangalore, that is southeastern side of Bangalore, the Sarjapur area and the area in and around the airport. A lot of plotted developments are coming in.
Yes.
So plotted is basically in an investment perspective. Plotted developments are seeing a great amount of demand from the client side, as well as when it comes to the apartments and the immediate living segment. The luxury living has seen a great amount of demand. Like basically the high-end apartments
Okay.
upwards of 3,000 square feet and villas upwards of 3,000 square feet are also having seen great demand. So
So what
basically,
you're saying
independent
is
living has seen great demand, or rather than saying
independent
luxury,
living.
independent living has seen great demand of late.
Okay. So what you're saying is that it is placed in an investment class as of now. But what do you think the NRIs are mostly looking at right now? Are they looking it as it as an asset, or are they looking it as an investment?
See, plots majorly, if you speak of things, basically, there's again, you can differentiate into two classes. One is an
Okay.
investment class and as an asset class. So,
Yes.
investment class is something which is more concrete structure kind of a thing is investment class. Asset class
Exactly.
is your land is more ever into asset class.
Right. So another thing, I'm sure with Merushri, you see that a lot of plotted developments are coming up, and you are also dealing with villas, ready to move in villas, as well as building out villas. So, with the kind of sales output you have right now, what is the kind of customer inflow do you see? Is it the young? Is it the old? Is it the NRIs? What kind of crowd is coming in now? Is the younger crowd becoming more aware of buying homes? Or are they going into the residential sector, or are they planning on plotted development or as an investment? What is the kind of people you're looking at which is coming out?
See, we basically cater to the aspiring class. I mean, the kind of products what you have, especially the villas what we have, it is for the aspiring class. A person who's aspiring to have his own independent home, but due to the budget constraint is not able to have. So these are
Yes.
basically aspiring villa owners as well as aspiring high-end apartment owners. Maybe
Okay.
because of budget constraints, they're not able to procure one. So we
Right.
offer luxury as affordable rates. So we offer luxury at affordable rates.
Okay.
Primarily the customer inflow, what we are seeing is majorly a crowd between basically 28 to 35, 40 years kind of a thing. The young crowd basically. The more of the millennial crowd, you can say so. These are
Right.
the crowd who, I mean, 85, 90% of the customers are millennials for us.
From the millennials. Okay. Okay, great. So yes, so like you said, there's been a huge demand in the aspiring class as well as the affordable class. Now, but this is a trend right now, and we see that a lot of builders are coming up with affordable segment homes and aspiring. But you also told me that the investment from into luxury homes has also been great. But what
Yes.
do you think about the trend with the affordable segment? Do you think this is long term or this is short term?
See, as long as what you call the people, I mean, as long as luxury becomes affordable, it is going to be a surge. Surge is definitely, demand surge is definitely going to be there. So we have been pioneers in giving what you call luxury product at affordable rate.
Luxury property and
So,
affordable rates.
yes. And if and I believe people will follow those. Other builders will definitely follow those. We have been pioneered in that. So
Yeah.
see what happens. You don't find a villa at a 1 crore budget anywhere in the vicinity with great connectivity and livability. In an inhabitable area, you don't find a villa at affordable rate. So we are doing it. So if these kind of products come into market, see, necessity is the mother of everything.
Invention.
So
Yes.
yes, invention. So uh, there's been a necessity where people have started to feel requirement of independent living. So we have come up with a concept of independent living at affordable rates. So we have seen great demand from millennials of it, and I believe everyone will start following the same.
Right. And what I would say, you've been in the market for so long. You have seen both the segments of affordable, the premium segment. You've seen the apartment sales and everything. What are some of the biggest changes you have seen during this pandemic in the Indian real estate market?
See, pandemic has moreover given a reason for people to own their own home.
On
So
your
earlier,
yes.
people were not keen on investment into real estate as a product itself.
Right.
Now real estate has become an asset class. It has become an estate. It has become important for estate planning. It has become for investment in all segments. So fragmented ownership is also slowly creeping in into real estate. As I told you initially, farmlands is something which is picking up the trend. People understand the importance of having large amount of land pieces on their name. Farmlands is basically a leisure investment, what people are doing, and a holiday investment, what people are doing. So fragmented ownership is one more thing what people are putting money into. Co-living is a fragmented ownership model into residential segment where people are putting money into. So commercial side of investments into real estate have seen a downturn now. The residential side is seeing an upswing in recent last couple of years or 1.5 years, you can say so. So people have also come down to plotted developments. They're planning to invest in the, coming back to roots, they're investing in land in any format. It can be in farmlands format, it can be in large land format, it can be luxury plots, it can be affordable plots. People are come back and investing in plots majorly. So the plotted investment scenario or the segment has seen a great amount of surge along with the luxury living in various formats, I would say.
Yes. So could you tell us more about this farmland concept? Because yes, we understand there are the normal plotted developments and the ones which are developed properly, and then there are some with the small players having these small areas of land being sold, and there are buyers for this. What is the concept of the farmland? What you're talking about? Because that is, I think, this is something what I've heard from in Bangalore and in various parts of in and around Bangalore, but those concepts are not very prominent in the other cities. So what is this concept, and how can people from other cities invest into these farmlands?
See, farmland investments are basically a leisure investment or a hobby kind of investment for many people. So farmland is again the concept of getting back to roots is basically owning a large piece of land. See, earlier what happens, farmlands were more of an independent acquisition. What used to happen, you go, you acquire 1 acre farm or 2 acre farmland. If you have the purse size with you, if you have your pockets are deep, you go and acquire 1 acre 2 acre farmland, which is a little bit far from the city. Now in and around Bangalore, that is 50 kilometers from Bangalore and beyond, a lot of people are coming up with the concept of farmland. This is not a new concept. Companies like Hossachi Group and many other vibes have been already there in the market since long, but it's been catching up off late where people understand the importance of large amount piece of land. It is again, instead of selling in acres, now it's being sold. Builders are developing large area of agricultural lands and selling it in fragments, smaller fragments like 10,000 square feet, 15,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet and all, at a very affordable rate, which is very cheap, because farmland doesn't require many approvals. It doesn't require a RERA. Farmland doesn't come under purview of RERA. So the approval cost comes down drastically, and the layout, you don't need to give proper asphalt roads or concrete roads into it. Basic roads with basic infrastructure is enough. So that basically brings down the cost because of the location, which is at least 50 to 60 kilometers from the tip of the Bangalore. The outskirts of Bangalore, it's about 50-60 kilometers. The price is brought down drastically, and obviously no rate of infrastructure development is needed. So it is basically a leisure or a hobby kind of acquisition what you do, and it can also be converted into a holiday home where you can build your own home on a 10,000 square feet of land. You can build approximately 1,000 to 2,000 square feet of your own home, which can be also considered as a weekend home. So it is going to be a price position. It is an investment as well as an leisure investment, you can say so.
Leisure investment. So talking about the farmland concept and talking about the plotted developments, I also have this doubt. Obviously, we know that buyers, from their point of view, they also look at the disputed lands. This is also something what a lot of buyers face as an issue when they go out to buy, whether it's an apartment residential building or a plotted development. Because only once they buy, do I know a lot of customers who have come across this problem where they realize later on that this is a disputed piece of land. How do they, check the documentation or the paperwork as to avoid these kind of hassles?
So it's very simple. I mean, the simplest way of doing it is basically, before you go ahead with the booking, or before the builder banks your check or he banks it, you can have a clause saying that I would like the legal check before I completely proceed with the booking. So the builder will give you the legal set. You have to take the legal set from the builder and get it verified from any of the legal lawyers who do the civil verifications. You can get it verified from them, reputed lawyers. Once they give their opinion on it, you can go ahead with the booking. Once they give a positive opinion on it, you can go ahead with the booking. Because as an individual, if you want to check it, it will be going to be very difficult. A lot of technical things would be there. You have to check the family tree. You have to check the EC from the beginning. You have to check the conversions. You have to check the legal flow of the property. As a layman, it might not be possible for us to get deep into it. So you have to take the help of a legal real estate legal consultant for that.
Right.
So the process would be, before you go ahead with the booking, you take the legal set from the developer, get it vetted and verified by a legal consultant, real estate legal consultant. And once he gives it go ahead, you can go ahead with the booking. That's the simplest way to do it. And with RERA in place, I don't say it's completely 100% transparent and 100% you will not find these kind of cases anymore. Yes, but it has come down. The number of cases have completely come down.
The number of cases have come down.
Completely come down. You might find one or two here and there, but not much. So ideally, most of the developers will have the legal cleared only.
So RERA takes care of most of the things.
Ideally, yes, but there might be one or two odd cases here and there.
Odd cases, okay. So, what do you think now? Since the pandemic is going on, how do you think the residential sector has responded to the disruption what has happened in the entire scenario in the last 2 years or even this year? How has it affected the customers or even the builders for that matter?
See, I would say COVID has been blessing in disguise for residential real estate in the sector, basically the developers and builders, especially across the Tier A cities or Tier 1 cities, the big cities like Bangalore, Pune, Mumbai, NCR market, as well as your Ahmedabad and Chennai markets, the primary driving forces of the Bangalore, Indian real estate markets. They have seen upward trend. As I told you, it's been blessing in disguise. The initial term was pretty challenging with no labor force and costs escalating.
Yes, of course.
Sales going downturn. Initial phase, that is during the first lockdown, was really tough for many of the developers. But as and when the first lockdown got over and norms started to ease, we have been seeing a continuous improvement in the demand for residential investments across pan India. In fact, not pan India, I would say across this is a trend across the globe. So the necessity of owning a home has been seeing an upward trend. Not only that, one of the other major factors is the housing loan rates going southward. I mean, about a couple of years back, the housing loan rates were hovering around 8.5%. Now it is about 6.5%. Ideally, the affordability is increasing. For example, a person who is taking a 1 crore loan earlier, his EMI for a 20-year for 8.5% was about 82,000. Now it has come down to as low as 62,000. So basically, with because the affordability of clients, there's a new segment of people who are entering it. This is about high-end and speaking. Let us take an example of a person who had a budget of around 35,000 of outflow about 2 years back. Now, with housing loan rates going down, he can afford a 60 lakh home easily. Earlier, he was not able to do it. So that is one of the major reasons, and COVID has become a blessing in disguise, as I told you. So people have found the importance of owning their own home in whatever format it is. It might be affordable living, it might be a luxury living, it might be independent living. So people are understanding the importance of having their own home now. So it's been seeing upward trends in August 2020.
Yes. So talking about affordability of customers, where it's become more affordable for them to buy a home now. Let's talk about the most important point for our customers, where we have definitely seen an inflation in the market when it comes to construction and the material costs and everything. So how has this inflation affected the builders, and how do you think it is going to affect the pockets of the customers?
See, thankfully, till now, the builders have been absorbing the cost because builders understand the factor that in a upward trend, if they immediately increase the prices, the demand might get hit. So till now, the builders have been absorbing the they're going for lower profit margins, but I don't think that will go for long. You will
Yes.
definitely coming. There have been multiple newspaper articles that the prices of real estate are going to increase very soon. So very soon is as good as couple of months or before the end of this financial year, you might see an increase.
Okay.
Or starting of the financial year, most of the developers are going to increase their increase the prices. Just that they don't want to spoil the quarter figures and year end figures. That is the reason they're not increasing. They're going at smaller margins and lesser margins. They're compensating by higher amount of sales, larger amount of sales. But this is not going to continue for long. Definitely, the prices are going to increase by 10 to 15% in coming months.
Okay.
So this is the best time to buy a home. If somebody's planning to buy a home, this is the best time because coming next 3-4 months, the prices are definitely going to go up.
The prices are definitely going to increase. Yes. So looking at all these things, I would also want to ask you, we are all from the real estate market. You are from the real estate market. I'm from the real estate market. And I think everybody needs to make a positive change towards this. So what do you think everyone needs to work towards in the industry to make it better? Or what is that thing, what everyone should work towards for the things to, all fall into place?
So the initiation has to be taken by the what you call manufacturing and distribution channel. That is best. Manufacturing channel is the developers, builders and developers. The distributionist channel is basically channel partners like you. More transparency needs to be brought in while presenting the product in the market. So what is used to happen all this while the transparency was missing for many segments. So the transparency is something which is going to do a lot of good for the sector, and we need to be more organized. Obviously, real estate is taking a lot of steps becoming an organized sector. RERA is one format of it. Online bookings have been call of the day basically. If you say online for any developer 2.5 years before, it was something which is very new, which is only present in NRI segment, but every developer is having presence of online bookings and all. So sector is moving towards more technology oriented and more organized. It is getting more organized. So we are already in the progress. We are already in the process of becoming one of the largest contributor to the Indian GDP. And I seriously believe the 1 trillion dream of contribution to the Indian GDP will definitely become a reality in coming years. And yes, real estate is becoming more organized, and we need to bring in the transparency factor as developers and channel partners, a distribution channel. We need to take up the responsibility of being more transparent with the clients and customers.
Yes,
so that will take the industry couple of notches above.
Definitely. So, not taking a lot of your time, I would only want to ask you finally, what are since you're working for Merushri Developers, what is the pipeline of Merushri Developers in the next 3 years? What are you looking at, considering the trend, or what are your futuristic plans from Merushri?
So before that, I'll just tell the vision of Merushri, what we are into. We want to give a value proposition product to the clients, something which is of a great value. That whenever a client is coming and putting a rupee into a product, he should feel that whatever is putting, he's getting the entire rupee worth back to him. So that is how the idea of affordable luxury came into the concept of Merushri. So we have multiple product launches happening in the next 3 years. We have close to 76 acres of land parcel in and around the airport, which we'll be launching in next 3 years. So immediate launches, we currently have 2 villa projects going on and 1 plotted development project going on in Bangalore. So these are affordable luxury again around the airport only. So in future also, we are going to come up with a themed plotted development. It's going to be the first of its kind in entire South India, the themed plotted development of a new theme which has never been explored by any developer in the past. Okay. So that is
a little more about this themed plotted development.
So the themed plotted development is going to come up on the main highway, the airport, the Hyderabad highway. Okay. this is something which is to do with the culture of Indian heritage and culture. I'll not be able to reveal much more details because the RERA is
Yes.
not yet there. But it is
Yes.
something which is to do with the roots again. It's back to roots concept basically, where we will be showcasing the Indian heritage and culture over there. And
Great.
it is going to be one of its kinds and never been explored in the Indian South Indian real estate market. At least Indian real estate market, I'll not be able to comment, but South Indian real estate has never been explored. So that is the thing what you're going to come up. We are going to come up with a sustainable eco-development villa project of 10 acres in coming months. So both the launches are expected in about next 3 to 4 months now, before the end of financial year.
That's
So
absolutely
this is
great.
about close to about 3.5 to 4 lakh square feet we're already going to bring in the market in next 3 to 4 months.
Yes, I think it sounds absolutely great, and we hope to see some wonderful projects from Merushri as well. And
Definitely.
I wish you all the best.
Thanks a
And,
lot,
we
and
hope-
thanks a lot for the honor and privilege.
Yes, and I think we have shared a lot of information today, and I'm sure all of us attending here has gained a lot from what you had to share with us. Thank you so much for sharing, and I would love to wrap up this session for today. It's been a great session. It's been great having you here. Thank you so much for being with us, and thank you to all of you for attending the session. And just see you till next time. And hopefully we have somebody else, a new guest speaker. But we were really happy to have Mr. Srinath Gupta on our first webinar session. Thank you once again.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you,
providing
sir.
me for hosting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for attending the session today.
Thank you.
See you until next time.